maybe.
And this is the part I'll have to cut out.
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God! All right, we're good to go. We're live on Facebook now. Hello, everybody. This is Uncivil Liberty coming at you again on another fine Wednesday night. The temperature has cooled off a bit. I enjoy the fact that I'm not sitting here covered in sweat, so it's a great night. It's a great night whenever that's not happening. With us, we got Halston. Say hi, Halston.
Hi, Halston.
Oh, we have Horace. Hi, Horace. Still tagged under my name. That's fine. And as we have mentioned in the past, we bring in a new member onto the show. We have Wit.
Hello, everybody.
Wit. Give people who don't know you a rundown on you.
Well, I am Whit Russell. I'm kind of a known entity in the libertarian circles here in the Southeast. I'm down here in Birmingham, so I've got a little bit of different perspective than maybe y'all do up in North Alabama. Let's see here. Things you can probably, okay. Go to YouTube and Green Media Productions, and you can see a video that we did specifically for kind of a libertarian audience of a short story that was written by F. Paul Wilson called Lipid Legging. And
that's what it was. I was trying to find that. I could not find it.
Yeah, Lipid Legging. It's about at that point, it was written in the 70s, and they were kind of joking, but it was a future where healthcare has been federalized, and so now eggs and butter are illegal because they are, it's bad for public health. And so it's the story of a federal agent going and making a bust on a gentleman who is selling real eggs and butter.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. F. Paul Wilson enjoyed it, and that's the most important thing. The author said we did a good job on it, so I'm pretty happy with that.
Now, you actually acted in that. You actually had a role in that.
Yeah, that was not my intention. I actually come at the media business. I have a history in media video production. I've done a bunch of horror. Well, not a bunch. I've done several horror movies, and then a bunch of local advertising and whatnot with me and my partners. But that was one we did out of our own pocket, specifically to get some messaging out there.
Yeah.
Have it be both artistically, creatively interesting, and again pushing forth our values here.
Yeah.
Swallow. If you wrap the pill in a little bit of peanut butter, the dog's more likely to swallow it.
Yeah. Well, for me, one of the things I liked about that was the fact that it is F. Paul Wilson. I've been a fan of his for years. I've read and seen the movie The Tomb. And, it's just like the fact that you've actually worked on something of his and everything is just like, I'm fanboying here, okay?
Yeah, well, he's a really nice guy, first off. And plus, his libertarian chops are not even remotely in question. He's been on the right side of the philosophical end of it for a long, long time. His Repairman Jack series, I think, is one that would probably be good to make into a Netflix series because it's a kind of an interdimensional dude who goes around fixing problems. Like I said, he's Repairman Jack. So again, I think it would market well. He's done a lot of medical-based fiction as well. Kind of in that tension category, but that gets into, again, some libertarian themes with what is the correct technologies to use and what should people be, quote unquote, allowed or not allowed. Of course, the answer to that is what can you pay for, but so he's done a really good job of being message consistent and also being, putting out entertaining work, So, and plus he's just good. He's just a straight up nice guy. Straight up nice. But yeah, so that's kind of where I'm coming from. Okay, so I have a couple of notes from from last week. It's a little different down here than it is up there. Huntsville is one of the most intelligent cities in America and educated cities in America. It's also one of the most federalized. It's the most federalized city in this state. So the general walking around dude, in comparison to the regular Alabamian, is not the same critter.
No, you can't. throw a fish without hitting a PhD.
Right, exactly. I'm coming from a little bit different perspective. I'm down here south of Birmingham in Montevallo, Alabama, which is one out in the country in Shelby County, which is one of the fastest growing and defeatist right-wing counties in the country. Second factor, this is also the gay and lesbian capital of the state. Pretty much every art student, drama kid, or any of that comes to this city and have been doing that for 30, 40 years and have been safe and good, and this is an enclave for that. So I have a little bit of different perspective again than y'all. Talking about default settings, Halston said that just about everybody he knows is a liberal socially. Well, I know a bunch of people who are inclined libertarianly, but straight up from that cowboy, right-wing, Clint Eastwood angle out down here. Almost everybody here that I know is a default Republican and default Baptist. But again, that doesn't mean they're not open to the message. It just means that they are coming at it from the other direction.
Yeah, from a different perspective.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're not nice guys.
Oh no, there's nice people on all ends of the spectrum. There's
There's assholes on
totally. But again, like I said, I think that y'all are getting a little bit of, I don't say skewed view, but a little bit of a different flavor. I'm pulling a different core sample than y'all are, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I hope to bring a little bit, not enlightenment per se, but again a little bit more angle to the proceedings here. Another factor is I am the only not white dude here. I'm a native Hawaiian, so
that's true. That's true.
Considering the fact that my dad was an unreconstructed Confederate Texan and my mother is still a Royalist Hawaiian, you can say that I have a little bit of a distaste for the federal government, just a little bit.
Just a little bit, yeah.
For pretty much ingrained at the bottom level. So I'm a lot more interested in what goes on in the state politics because I basically consider the federal government to just done. Write it off. There's no point screwing with it. Just get the hell out. I'm basically either pro-secession or pro-collapse or whatever the hell needs to happen because those jackasses are a done deal.
I do want to say that my white privilege wants to apologize for the oppression that my white ancestors have caused to the Hawaiian people. Just so you know.
Well, I mean, Bill Clinton apologized officially and didn't give us anything back, so God bless him.
Yeah.
So that's where that's at. I don't believe in why. I basically have, I would say, contempt for white guilt, but I think that there's nothing wrong with personal self-interest and coming from your perspective. Doesn't matter what color you are, where you're at financially. It is okay to look out for number one. Period.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and another part of this is you got to play the ball as it lies, man. The wheels of history have already moved. Now part of the deal of if the federal government were to magically disappear, that would limber up a couple of things that I like, and one of them would be the fact that Hawaii would for sure become its own nation state again. It would be It's got hugely tactical position in the middle of the Pacific. It's got giant trade money. It's got all kinds of international connections all on its own. It don't really need America. America needs it.
Yeah.
And so that's why they're sitting there. I mean, they need that. It used to be a coaling port, but now that's where they sit the Navy, because that's the best. That's the gateway to the Pacific. But yeah, so that's where that's at.
Cool. We'll kind of just roll into a couple of things real quick, and we'll add on to that. First things first, check out our website. I gotta do the plug at the beginning of the show. If I don't, nobody will know that we have a website.
Another pseudo plug here. I'm going to be coming out. I've already talked to y'all. My plan is to do a weekly column op-ed, generally from a philosophical, not a policy wonk angle. Although there will be some times I have to jump up and down on an idiot law or an idiot happening. But yeah, no, it's mostly going to be, like I said, sort of an op-ed, what I think kind of a thing. Think piece.
Yeah, on the website itself.
On
right?
the website,
yeah,
weekly column. So
yeah,
all of my fans, which I do have a very teeny tiny fan base, high fan base.
That's one thing that we're all trying to get better at is being able to put some more content out there.
Yeah.
We were talking about that last week too. It's a struggle sometimes. We focus on the show. We have our conversations throughout the week. That's just one of the things that falls to the side. I'm just as guilty, I'm probably more so than anybody else, about not actually putting out quality articles on a regular basis.
When it comes to, excuses, though, I don't know much about Witt's scheduling and everything. But I know with Luke and Halston, I know both of y'all are, like, loaded to the gills, And
then some, but that's fine.
Whereas me, I got nothing but time. I'm talking to people online and trying to pick up new stuff.
Yeah.
I split the difference between the two various groups here. My kids are grown in California with their mama. I don't have to worry about that. I do what work I either can contract or want to do, but I am mentally incapable of having a straight up boss. I work for me. So for me, it could be a situation where I have no time that week, or I could have all the time that week.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, I'm going to womp out one column a week just to make sure that we have some content there.
Yeah, and that's going to be it on civilliberty.com. I don't think I actually said the website, but yeah, definitely check it out.
Yeah, the website itself, I think we can. We should push that harder. We're pushing it. We're plugging it now. Go to the website. The website, not just the Facebook page. The website itself has some good content, and as we grow and as we accumulate, we'll accumulate. It will get stronger, and every day getting a little better.
And if you haven't been to the website recently, go to uncivilliberty.com, because we now have the audio stripped out of the videos. And we have audio-only podcasts out.
All right, someone mark that off my list of things to talk about. So,
podcast.
Hey, I've spent way too much time working on that. Huh?
It's available on iTunes too. I got it this morning.
It should not be available in iTunes yet, because I haven't pushed it to iTunes.
Not in iTunes. You can get it from the Apple's podcast link, but you can search for Uncivil Liberty and it comes up. I just needed to hear myself talk this morning, so it worked.
I have not pushed it to iTunes yet, because I can't push it to iTunes until I get the icon banner thingy.
It's already it's whatever you put up there is already up there. Just so you know. We can talk about this some other time. We got entertaining shit to talk
there we
about.
Go.
Oh, yeah.
Give the people what they want.
Come on, guys. Come on. All right, so tonight, and also Facebook. I'll throw Facebook out there, but if you're watching this, you're already on our Facebook page. But please like and share it. We'd love to have more likes. We'd love to have more trolls. We need more hate mail. We don't have nearly enough hate mail. We're what, about 2 months into this, 2.5 months into this? No real hate mail.
Trolls gotta get their shit together, man.
Trust me, one of my favorite things is fucking back on a troll, man. That's I love it. I love it.
It's enjoyable, I don't really have many hobbies, and that's what probably.
I mean, not that the freedom movement didn't already have enough fat bearded guys that like to screw with trolls or be trolls, just kind of depending upon the perspective. But hey, love it.
Not exactly hate mail, but we do at least have Wanda.
We got Wanda.
Fucking Wanda. Jesus Christ. We're a bunch of foul-mouthed middle schoolers.
Yes, we are. And that's fine, because
Well,
I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Don't give a fuck. Wanda, if you're watching this, I don't give a fuck.
All I can say is, Wanda, go back to your Victorian era padded room that doesn't exist in reality. Pretty much all our friends talk like us.
Yeah.
This is reality. Deal with it.
Go deal yourself to Roy Moore's pictures and enjoy it. Have a good night. Whatever. What the fuck.
I love his little pistol.
Oh, his pistol gets me all
brain bleach now.
I'm leaving all kinds of snail trails all over the pistols.
Oh my God, that's disgusting.
God,
That's the worst thing I've ever heard.
I so need brain bleach now.
Wanda snail trails.
Okay, on to the subject
at hand. We're talking about jury nullification. We're talking about jury nullification tonight. We actually, in case people weren't really kind of paying attention to the news, there's actually kind of a really big deal that happened out in Athens, Alabama, which is probably about, it's probably maybe 15 minutes from where I'm at in East Limestone, where they actually had a case that went to mistrial on jury nullification. Quick backstory: guy was growing pot in his backyard, got busted. One juror said that the law is bullshit. He went not guilty. They retired the case. So, in seeing that, there was an organization called the Fully Informed Jury Association. It's FIJA.org, which is
an old and venerable organization.
Yes.
Okay, so they have been around at least for the past 25 years doing what they're doing,
yeah,
and have nothing but a good reputation amongst all the people who do any of that kind of activism work. They are a solid group of individuals.
Yeah, they definitely are, and actually, it's a very low key group. It's we'll talk more about them as it goes, but they posted something saying we need more people in Alabama, and when I reached out to them, I found out that they have one person in the state of Alabama, one person, an 80-year-old lady who's on the verge of on the verge of death. That's their only contact, the only activist that they have in the state. So, we decided, in some conversations, talked about it, and really feel that this is a topic that we should probably go into. Not a lot of people are familiar with the concept of jury nullification, and touch on some other aspects of civil disobedience, but utilizing jury nullification to overrule the bad laws that are being passed, it doesn't matter what state that you're in, but to be able to kind of take the power back and keep people from going into a correctional institution for the rest of their lives over something that there's no victim to.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and start the conversation. Halston, I'll let you kick it off since you're being the quiet one over there. Go for it.
I'm just learning. I'm just listening, opening up my ears and closing my mouth. When you're in the presence of genius like I am, you just kind of shut the fuck up and let them talk. Right?
Sure.
Right. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to go off of the jury nullification definition that we have here on the interwebs. Jury nullification occurs when jury returns a verdict of not guilty despite its belief that the defendant is guilty of the violation charge. The jury, in effect, nullifies a law that it believes is either immoral or wrongly applied to the defendant whose fate they are charged with deciding. But I also found some things in my research that they can return a guilty verdict as well. The difference being that a guilty verdict is easier. It makes it easier for the judge to go against what they're saying. So if they come back with a verdict of guilty versus not guilty because of jury nullification, which seems a little counterintuitive, but the judge has more leniency to say fuck the jury. So, but I guess we're talking more along the lines of not guilty when someone's charged with what we would consider a victimless crime. Meaning that no one got their shit taken and no one got hurt, in a nutshell. So that's what jury nullification is. And that means if you go on jury duty, that you don't have to say not guilty or guilty. You don't have to be the person to decide that based on what you think about this defendant. If you think the law that they're being charged against, that the crime that they're being charged for is bullshit, you're able to raise your hand and say, this law is bullshit and this guy's not guilty. Due to that. This law's bullshit. He's not going to jail. That pretty much it's that simple. And I think this is a new concept to me in the last few months, and it kind of opened my eyes. I had no idea. I've never done jury duty either, so sign me up because I'm ready to start pushing this out.
Yeah, most people try to get out of jury duty. They do everything they can. They have some sort of excuse. They really strive to just avoid it at all costs. And in a lot of cases, it is a pain in the ass because you don't know how long you're going to be stuck in that jury room for. But on the flip side of it is that you have the ability to actually make a difference, because the way that it's set up is that if enough juries stop convicting for certain crimes, prosecutors are going to stop prosecuting these crimes because majority of the district attorneys are elected positions. They want to have a positive track record. So it actually hurts their career to go after stuff that's not going to be convictable. And then if the prosecutors stop, then the cops are going to stop enforcing it. You look at things like the sodomy law, for example. That was a big thing. You look at the interracial dating laws that Alabama had way back in the day. When juries stopped enforcing them, it all kind of just stopped altogether until it was ruled unconstitutional, and however it's played out. So this is something that everyday average people can actually get involved with, inform other people about. and then actually start seeing a change in the overall legal process.
Yeah, because I mean, this is when everybody talks about taking power back from the government, through various means, voting, etc. That's all bullshit. Jury nullification, yes, you can indeed take power back from the government. Because, if you're saying, if enough people are saying no, like you said, that goes away. And I mean, honestly, from my viewpoint, as a juror, you have a duty not just to determine whether the person is guilty or innocent, but also to determine whether the law itself is just. And if it is not, it is your duty to rule not guilty. And going back to the Athens case, that's what happened there. Now, mind you, and I don't remember you mentioning this, that case will be retried. So
that's fine. But I mean,
he's not getting off scot-free. It will be retried. And
at least let him go back and punt.
Yeah, and as far as talking about not wanting to serve jury duty, I'll tell you right now, you want to get out of jury duty when they're asking you, is there any reason you shouldn't serve? All you have to do is tell the prosecutor, I'm an advocate of jury nullification. Out the door you go.
Yeah, that's one thing too.
Actually, they'll probably throw the whole pool, depending upon
that's possible.
The room you're in, because you'll have already tainted them by their mind.
Exactly.
Yeah, we got a Facebook question.
Go.
So one of the Lauras said, "What about grand jury?" So
grand jury works differently.
That's to decide rules. Whether or not to indict someone, I believe.
Right. Mm-hmm. And it has a much lower standard of everything.
Yes.
Everything. Yeah. I mean, it sounds cool because it's grand, but
woohoo!
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is you're deciding whether or not there's sufficient evidence to hit somebody with a charge.
Right. To go.
So
to
I mean,
level.
It's by definition it's kind of a more amorphous situation, and like you said, it doesn't have to have the standard of proof that a full conviction requires.
Right.
I would think that if you wanted to influence the room, that would be a good time. As far as whether or not a law is a good law, that'd be the time. That'd be a time to do it. But again, you wouldn't. It'd be harder to prove either direction. Whether or not you actually did any good.
Yeah.
Well, one of the interesting aspects of this whole jury nullification thing, and you got to remember that I'm a nerd, big time, is that this is actually something that we have inherited from the deepest, darkest segments of the Old English common law. This is something right after, just as soon as the Romans got out of England and they started fencing stuff off, this was one of the things that they brought in. Why they had to go to trial by combat and trial by, what's it called, where they have to, like, here, stick your hand in the boiling water deal. Trial by trial? I don't know, trial by whatever. But yeah, so is that the people, the commoners, quote unquote, were having too much influence on what could and could not, go through on a case. And so they for a long time they got away from doing jury trials for exactly this reason. And like I said, we have it's not hippy dippy bullshit. This is some serious old school rights of man Magna Carta stuff here.
Mm-hmm.
Which is of course why they make sure that nobody hears about it. You cannot.
Yeah.
There's been a bunch of those cats get busted standing outside of courthouses handing out pamphlets. They will they'll arrest them for trespassing and whatnot, and then charge stack them, which is one of the big things that we gotta get handled in the criminal justice system, is where they basically use a bunch of made up regulations to add extra crap on top of the case. Is that right there. And that's one of the reasons I think these Fiji people are awesome, is the fact that they're willing to go to jail over this.
Oh, yeah.
To get the message out. A
And
bunch of them have been arrested.
And talking with the executive director on Saturday, that's one of the biggest issues that they have as far as finding active people to work with, is that they're scared of being arrested. Well, That's understandable, completely, totally understandable. But there's ways that you can still be active and be an activist without necessarily worrying about that. If you understand basic guerrilla marketing strategies, you could utilize those concepts to still get the message across. Like, one idea is if you get a big billboard, put it in the back of a truck, and park it across the street from the courthouse, the morning that jurors are showing up, with this big thing that just says, hey, look, you can override bad laws. They can't do anything to you. Put
the website on there so that they can hit it on their smartphone
exactly
on the way in the door. Because it's not like you're going to be sitting in that pool doing nothing for a long time.
Exactly. Make it interesting. But just being creative. You don't necessarily if you don't necessarily want to get arrested, there's ways to get around it. But one thing too that not a lot of people who understand jury nullification, but they don't necessarily understand how private it is. It's not talked about. And there's a Supreme Court case that says that yes, jury nullification, and I'll pull up the actual case itself. I think it's like U.S. versus Sharp or something like that. I don't know. But jury nullification is valid. However, it's up to the judge to decide whether or not he wants it discussed in his courtroom. So if you have this, which is kind of weird because you think that your constitutional rights, so to speak, are still in effect when you walk into a courtroom. But if the judge can say, I don't want you talking about this, wait a second. Okay, that right there, you just nullified. The court has just nullified your right to freedom of speech.
Yeah.
In that moment. So, and if you bring this up in a courtroom, you could be held in contempt. So if you're trying to defend yourself and you want to say jury nullification is this, if you think this is a bad law, you'll find yourself in worse trouble. So that's why they need people on the outside to kind of help pass this information along. You don't have to go around collecting signatures. You don't have to go around collecting donations, but taking this information in and then talking to your friends about it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just getting on social media. If you're a slacktivist like a lot of us are, I know I do a lot of slacktivism myself. And just pushing that information out. Once you plant the seed, it can't be pulled back.
Once they know it, it's out. Good point on this, and kind of ties back into a couple other things. Talk about guerrilla marketing and also having your, if you're a creative person, having your message on point. Doug Stanhope has been on point on this particular issue for at least 15 years, like a long time. He's been out there in every show talking about how you should go do your jury duty, and if you don't like what they're doing, shut them down. Be the guy. That's the best thing you can do for freedom. And so on that one, he should get an award for the other direction of doing right by getting the message out,
Yeah.
Because he's done a lot of good that way.
Also, what Luke was talking about, that United States versus Thomas.
What it was.
Yeah. So I had this pulled up earlier. It was just one of the things that I've been looking at. But the jury does not have a right to nullification in the court. So that is something that the council is not allowed to recommend jury nullification. That's something that's been stamped out by the courts, according to the Supreme Court law. But that doesn't mean that if you think that it's a bullshit law, you can still say not guilty because of jury nullification. You have the right to still vote not guilty no matter what.
And you don't always have to give a reason of why you voted.
No, you don't have to give a reason. But that's the thing. It's a what's the word I'm looking for? It's a discretionary act. It's not something that there's no real legal grounds for you to stand on when you say I'm doing this because of jury nullification. It's something that you would bring up. You could say, hey, this is a bullshit law. I'm voting not guilty. But by the book, your duty is to make a decision based on the laws and the crimes that are being charged. So this is saying that you have the right to jury nullification and the right to free speech is a little outside the scope of what this law says. But doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. Doesn't mean that, especially if you think, like in Athens, you think this law is a bullshit law. Be the guy and say, hey, this law is bullshit. And I moved to nullify it by voting not guilty.
There have been a couple of cases I've seen where the defense tried to bring that up and was shut down, that went to appeal and were tossed on appeal because it was ruled that basically, even though the lawyer himself necessarily can't say anything about it, the defendant can.
Yep.
Because that is the defendant's specific right to say what he wants in his defense.
Yep.
The Tyrion Lannister defense.
That's it.
And going back to something that was said earlier, going back to the grand juries, another big difference between grand juries and regular juries. As a rule, grand juries are either elected or appointed for a period of time and will oversee multiple cases, versus a jury which will only set the one case.
Yeah, that'd be a quick way to get yourself unappointed, I would think.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet.
So there is a big difference in between the two. But no, I mean, jury nullification is something that is definitely, it's important to educate about. Under the current system, it's really about the only way we do have to tell the government, no, we will not accept this. You might as well stop bothering. And if enough people do it, the government has no choice but to listen. Or continuing to waste tremendous amounts of money. And in the case of a DA, have a record that is going to look worse and worse and worse.
Well, I mean, and then there's also I hate to bring up some lefty crap in here, but this is also a Cloward Piven sort of a scenario. When you cause them friction in their system, you make them have to go back and do retrials. You make them have to spend money on that. You make them have to they decide to have it the next time. They're not going to do it with a jury trial. They'll probably just have a judge, which is perfectly legal for them to do that. But it also opens up a much higher standard on appeal, or a much lower standard on appeal, for them to be able to go and get that thrown out because it was prejudicial. So just causing the system problems is valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Now, I thought even with a mistrial or whatever, that, or in any case really, with a few rare exceptions, that the defendant always had the right to request a jury trial.
That's the way they can request it or not. There was a police officer, I want to say it was in Georgia, that we were talking about not too long ago. I think it was in Georgia. Anyways, he was brought up on charges because I believe I think he killed somebody in the line of duty. He was brought up on charges, and he actually opted for the judge instead of the jury because the evidence was just so damning that he felt that it would, his defense counsel was like, let's just let the judge rule. And if it's just a single judge, they're not going to go against their foot soldiers. Oh yeah, you're fine, you're all clear, good to go.
Yeah. Which is bullshit.
That's a rare thing.
That is absolutely bullshit.
The only time you ever really see that is I got to see it firsthand with a relative of mine. But when you have a state DA and they go to federal court and it's left up to just the federal judge, they're a little more apt to say, well, you fucked up, man, and your boy goes free because you fucked up, and they're a lot less lenient on ineffective defense counsels too. Rather than keeping it all in the good old boy system where they all play golf together and whatever.
Yeah.
Tongue punch each other's fart boxes, whatever they do. Anyway, once you have that separation between state and federal, or I would wager probably a probate county type judge when something has to go up to the state Supreme Court. Once you have that separation of I'm better than you and I'm bigger and more badass than you, then you start to have more leniency towards the accused, I would imagine. Or the case at hand, something that could be settled by sitting across the table in arbitration. Yeah. You'd have much more leniency that way.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
So moving on.
Oh, I'm sorry. I my screen kind of cut out for a second. Everything froze. So I've got internet issues going on that I'm trying to resolve myself.
Yeah.
It's got to be something in your area.
It's WoW.
Wow.
Well, I have WoW and it's been fine.
Yeah, I have WoW and it sucks. But yeah. What was that last part, Halston? Because you kind of faded out on me.
That's shit. I don't know. I have no fucking clue. I was full of shit. I was reading from a teleprompter. It's gone now.
So. All right. But yeah, and that's one thing you notice too, is especially on some of these lower BS charges like simple possession. I can't think of any more than just that off the top of my head. they really push for taking a plea because more and more people are becoming less charged when it comes to things like marijuana.
Yeah.
And so a simple possession, they're going to be like, we maybe have a 50-50 chance if it goes to trial, but let's try to push them to get a plea. And some people think if I take a plea, I'm going to get a better deal. Not necessarily.
No.
And that's why there's a big push that ties into jury nullification is don't take a plea. Take it to trial and let the jury decide.
Yeah, let's not forget the fact that these are all lawyers. They will fucking lie. That's their job.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
They're going to sell it how they want to sell it to get what they want. Ain't looking out for you, man.
No, they're not.
Especially if they're a public defender.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Because
that's the worst.
they work for the state.
Public pretenders, man, they are the worst.
I mean,
think that they're on the fast track to being the president at some point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right.
So,
That was one of my goals. Once I made enough money to throw in my IRA and just sit pretty and don't have to really worry about making money, I was going to go to law school and be a public defender and just be shit hot. Finally have one guy that's shit hot on the public defender bench. Yeah.
Making $32,000 a year.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that, the more you pay your criminal defense attorney, the better they are because they have the ability to shake hands behind tables or behind doors and they know people that the public defender doesn't, because the public defender is going in there with a goodwill suit on and he's probably been kicked out of so many firms because he's a drunk or whatever. I mean, it's just there's so many stories, and you can take a look at these guys. The case I was talking about before, the public defender for the guy I'm talking about, he was just an idiot, man. He had no idea what an illegal search and seizure was. He tried to appeal a guilty plea. I mean, that's just a whole slew of shit that you can't do in the legal system, and he had no idea. And free 99, that's what you get.
Yeah. From what I understand, at least here in Alabama, a lot of the public defenders actually do not even get paid because
they have X number of them every lawyer is here in Alabama is on a list, and they have to do X amount every year. Whenever
through the bar association to keep their license active. Yep.
Now that only is for being a public defender only applies if your practice is criminal law.
Yeah.
If you're contract law, divorce law, no. Well, you still have to do the pro bono work,
but not necessarily in that fashion.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
they end up doing casework for that other stuff, or for civil cases that are state oriented. Like there's somebody's trying to sue yada or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have
Department of whatever.
They don't necessarily have to branch outside of their field because they're not going to be necessarily that good outside of their field. I don't want a contract lawyer handling my criminal defense. I don't, Now, if criminal defense lawyer handling the divorce, that may be another issue. So.
Yeah. Either way, it's.
I view lawyers like I view surgeons. I want to not ever have to get one, but when I do, I'm going to spend as much money as I got.
Yeah, damn right, man.
You get what you pay for a lot of times, especially in the legal field.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I come from an entire family of lawyers, so you don't.
I come from an entire family that needs lawyers.
But tying into the whole jury nullification thing, we can kind of take a step and look at the whole aspect of civil disobedience as being kind of another way to nullify bad laws. Not necessarily. Civil disobedience would be more nullifying in a public forum instead of in a courtroom.
Yeah.
Right.
So, you're starting to see more and more people. Sadly, it's more so on the left who are utilizing civil disobedience, and not necessarily in the most peaceful manner. But let's also talk about other ways that people can be active and be activists. And utilize civil disobedience as an avenue for getting their point across, without being obnoxious or being violent and destroying property.
Yeah, I mean, I think analyzing the word. Go ahead, man.
No, you did, man.
I think that the word disobedience probably needs to be talked about too, because when you hear disobedient, that just you automatically think negatively, like I'm being bad, or you're breaking laws, or busting people's heads with ropes, or whatever the fuck you do, whatever those guys are doing. But it's really not. You're just not obeying something. And sometimes shit just doesn't need to be obeyed, especially what we're talking about. When you're talking about victimless crimes, and you're branching out and saying, I'm not going to obey whatever this is that I don't believe in. I think that is definitely a positive light on disobedience, as opposed to this dog keeps shitting in the living room, he's disobedient. Like that's the negative connotation of it. I think this is what we're talking about is a positive connotation. So if someone's listening and they're like, oh, it's disobedience, I'm not going to do that. Well, this is a positive way to be disobedient.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a couple of things I've been posting lately online, where people keep referring to, but it's the law, but it's the law.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry, but appealing to the law just because it's the law is a logical fallacy. It's an appeal to authority, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Is the law just? Is the law moral? If it's not, it's our duty to challenge it.
Yeah, it's a duty to disobey it.
System is not a virtue.
No.
You know, and that's one thing that, you know, as a parent, I kind of struggle with, because I want I've got 4 kids. I want them to be independent. I want them to be free thinkers. I don't want them to be like, well, this is the law, it has to be followed because a whole bunch of people in Montgomery said so, and that therefore no. I want them to, say, look, if you don't agree with the law, don't follow it. That's why I don't drive with a seatbelt. People are like, oh, you're fucking stupid. No, I do it because it's my body, it's my car. Fuck you.
I don't, because I'm fat. Okay, statistically, I can prove that small people are killed by airbags and fat people are killed by seatbelts. If you're over 350 pounds, it'll cut through me like you cut a piece of wire through a cheese.
Oh my god, I never thought about that.
I don't use one.
The physics behind that, that's awesome.
I do use a seatbelt. I was using a seatbelt long before that law came out, because I have been in a couple of wrecks where that seatbelt did save me.
I know.
So,
and maybe that's the poor example, but that's kind of like what I try to teach and instill, is that just because it's a law doesn't mean it has to be followed.
Oh.
Now, if you don't follow it and you get caught, yeah, you're going to face the consequences for it. So if you're going to do something stupid, be smart about it.
yeah.
That's the best way to we've in my house we talk about everything. Everything is pretty much an open topic, and so we've talked about drug use. I've got a teenager, I'm very adamant about being sure that all of her questions are answered, so she doesn't go to one of her shitty ass friends and try to get answers or experiment with something that could kill her. On her own. It's very open, and I tell her, it's like, look, the law says marijuana is illegal. But it's not bad. And then I question them as far as from a self-ownership perspective. It's like, does somebody in Montgomery have the right to tell you what you can and can't do with your body? Do you own you, or do they own you?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, I think I own me. Well, okay, I hope you can get a little bit more sure in that answer down the line, but it's a good start. And when you start thinking that way, then you start seeing these laws, especially laws, of these bullshit victimist arbitrary laws. You're kind of like, I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
So, but if more and more people took that attitude, took that stance, and said, I'm not gonna follow that.
Yeah.
Then it becomes irrelevant. The disobedience kind of grows to be a societal norm.
Yeah.
Like playing dominoes on Sundays. That's usually when we play dominoes. It's illegal in the state of Alabama to play dominoes on Sundays. That's when we play.
That's when you play dominoes, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm going to show y'all my favorite tool for both civil disobedience and societal change. This right here. Choosing who and how you spend your money. Each one of these is a ballot, man. You are choosing who gets to win and who gets to lose, who moves forward, and whose agenda gets forwarded.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean,
black market is particularly in area. Drug, duh, guns, duh. But here's one: food. Okay, support your local farmer. There's an old lady on your block somewhere that has 18 chickens, more than she is supposed to have, who can't buy her frickin' drugs. Go buy her eggs and let her get her cancer medication.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And it's going to be breaking the law to do it, but anybody that says that shit right there is wrong has got their head up their ass.
And that ties into the concept of agorism, which is something I think we've covered a little bit in the past as well. Going around the government, the counter economic aspect, and participating in these black markets. And we're not talking about buying Uzis, in bulk from the Israelis. We're talking about just finding ways to get around the law to still be able to interact and trade.
And some of it isn't necessarily black markets. Like the chickens may not necessarily be black market. I think that falls more into the gray market category.
The FDA ain't happy with her ass, I'll guarantee it.
So.
Right. Yeah. But I think that's another term that we could. I mean, I could spend eons talking about shit that words and phrases that have negative connotations that shouldn't, like the black market. That's just shit you can't buy everywhere else.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what it is. It's
I think it's
drugs
racist,
and guns.
honestly.
It is racist. That's such a racist.
Oh, don't even.
Fucking racist. I am offended. My white privilege is offended because it's fucking racist.
Go fuck yourself. Just go fuck yourself.
Yeah. Well, how come the white market's good?
Black hole is offensive to black women. This is evil.
And honestly, in the state of Alabama, the white market and the black market, nope. Keep them separate.
Yeah, exactly. And
the entire privilege thing, okay?
I am totally kidding. And people who don't know me, I am so kidding. I'm being a sarcastic prick right now.
I'm only half-ass joking, but I'm going to make an observation here. Okay, last week, y'all know my old lady, her dad passed away.
Yeah.
And I pulled up, and I'm in a town that has 2 funeral homes. Well, I pulled up into the wrong one when the black dude stepped out. I'm at the wrong funeral home. Because that's just how it is. It ain't like segregation goes on in this. This is, like I said, one of the most liberal towns in possibly the country, much less the state. At least a quarter of the people here are homosexual drug users and are happy about it. Okay.
It sounds like a party to me. It sounds like a real party.
There's really good parties in this town.
I don't doubt it.
But yeah, no, it's just, I'll say they self-segregate in situations like that. Just, everybody's more comfortable going at the black funeral home, and down the street and up the corner is the white funeral home.
And if they're self-segregating, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's like a covenant community.
Exactly.
But
we all use the same grocery store, but, we don't want to be in the same funeral home with one another. Which, again, that is how it is, and what can you do for culture? Culture is a thing that is overarching even beyond law and whatever. Matter of fact, mores and customs should and do have more power than whatever those magic scribblings in the big book by the guy in the magic robe. Any of that more important than any of that as far as how you live your life.
Absolutely, and going back to what I was saying, though, as far as privilege and everything and this, that, and the other, anytime somebody wants to start going on about that, especially if they start talking about reparations and all that bullshit, my answer is very simple. We can discuss that after my people get their fucking land back.
I take it you're Native American, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That makes
to be
sense.
fair, mine was my family's was a dull pineapple field, but now it's underneath a giant sheet of lava because it's on that area of the Big Island.
Yeah.
It was blue in the 80s. Yeah. So we can't, give it back. I won't be able to use it, but
When my people get their land back, then we can discuss the rest of the bullshit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go fuck yourself.
Yeah. But kind of going back to like what Holston was saying is like these words are kind of almost programmed to have this negative meaning to them, and so once you're able to kind of work past the mental block you're going to have, disobedience and black market, and once you're able to kind of work past that and realize that the black market is truly the free market. That's the truest form of capitalism is going to be the black market.
Yeah.
Because there's no rules, otherwise it wouldn't be a black market, right?
It's a free market.
Yeah. So.
Well, and even though it's not true, it's not really a free market, but it's as close as we can get.
Yeah, as it stands right now.
Well, forces of nature like scarcity and weather and crap like that. Everybody's subject to that. So it's
right.
Not,
well, it's basic economics. Yeah.
I
was thinking,
it
is what it is. We're limited by what is. We live in a reality.
I was looking at it more from the fact that even the black market is still influenced by government.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's still not a free market.
Yep.
True enough.
Yeah, when Whit held up that $20 bill and he was like, "This is what control." I was like, all I could think of was Andrew Jackson. I was like, Jesus Christ, Whit, where are you going with this?
I'm getting scared. I'm getting really scared right now.
Throw the fucking blankets on him and beat him out of the White House or whatever the fuck.
He's absolutely right. You know, I know I have friends who are gay who will still eat there, but by God, free or not, I do not care. I will not fucking touch a Chick-fil-A product.
There you go. That's me. I will not touch Chick-fil-A.
I won't eat there because they keep fucking up my order. But
well, there's that. But you know, it's the perky 15-year-olds that keep fucking up your order, man.
You know, I don't believe in what they represent as far as in what they do with their money.
God damn, those chicken nuggets are good though. And Polynesian sauce, you ain't getting that shit anywhere else. You're missing out.
Yeah. I don't care.
I'll just buy them and rebrand them, and you can have them. How about that?
And honestly, as far as sauces,
Austin's Cock Shack.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need.
It may not be Polynesian sauce, but if I'm not doing honey mustard or barbecue, I'm most likely going to grab.
How did we get here?
Thai chili sauce.
How did we get here? We're talking about chicken nugget sauce. We started out with jury nullification.
Fucking time, guys. Serious. Every time.
Oh my God!
No, seriously though, it does matter. These little decisions, they do in fact add up. And again, like I said, they have more money has more control over policy than any amount of legalism you want to throw at it. That's just how it works, you know.
That's true. And you bring that up as far as money having control over policy. You know, with the recent thing that went down in Washington. Well, did you guys catch this? The whole class action thing with banks.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I saw some. I didn't get a chance to read the whole thing, but I saw it.
So in case nobody was in the know, apparently now banks and credit card companies are immune from class action lawsuits thanks to our Congress. You know how awesome is that? You know because Wells Fargo is spot on. They do everything right.
My understanding is that's only passed the Senate so far.
Passed the Senate. Either way. That's right. That's right.
It still has to go to the House and.
I'm aware. I watch Schoolhouse Rock. I know how our government works.
I'm just because you do doesn't necessarily mean all of our viewers will. So we want to make sure they're fully educated.
That'll be a fun show. Explain that.
What?
How does the bill work?
How does it bill?
Nobody knows.
Going back
to exactly.
As far as news and everything. Civil disobedience may about to be largely crushed if Arizona does what they're talking about. Have y'all seen this?
Yeah. That's where they can seize your property if you're protesting, basically.
If the protest turns violent,
right? Yeah.
Every single person, violent or not, that's involved can have all of their property seized.
Yeah, and I bet Jeff Sessions is rubbing one out of that idea.
Oh, yeah. God, yes.
Little Keebler Elf stroking it, man. He's all over.
So, if this passes,
did you even call that a stroke?
No, it's more of like a little slide.
It's like a.
If this passes, all they have to do is pay one agitator to go in and throw a rock. That's it.
Yep. That's it. It's a wrap.
And boom. I mean, this will shut down protests. Period.
Well, Arizona, much like California, needs to be kicked the fuck out of the country. Like, not secession for Alabama necessarily, just them not in the same country as us. Because, by God, they always have got the ignorant asses, most Joe Arpaio jerking off, jackboot desert bullshit that any of the fucking states can come up with. I mean, Arizona is just a fucking blight on all of the freaking court and paperwork. Yes, what that is, it's going to they're trying to crack open a door, and I guarantee it that Alabama will be one of the ones right there behind it as soon as they. Oh,
hell yeah.
Yep.
You know.
And believe me, if it does fly at all, especially if Roy Moore does win, and, it goes through before he has to run again, he'll submit it straight on to the federal level.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Well,
Yeah,
here's
no
the good,
doubt.
here's the good part about that one. I think Gorsuch and the assorted right wingers that are on the Supreme Court will probably eventually shoot that down.
Yeah.
I think so too.
But either way, you know, whenever I hear stuff like this, I think of that.
The fact that they're going to try it at all, just
I
they have
think of
the
that Archer
severity
meme.
to
It's
try
like,
it.
do you want to get shot? This is how you get shot.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
I think
You go
that
raid
we're
somebody's
short
house.
on tar and feathers. I think that we need some guys run out on rails to be made examples of.
Yeah.
And they tighten their freaking game up because they ain't scared. They
But
need
it's-
to be scared.
But it's
Yeah.
stuff like this that kind of ties back to the original point that we made at the beginning. Is like with laws like this that are overly oppressive, tyrannical as hell, you need to have jury nullification as a fallback in the event that the policymakers set this to law and allow the police to do this.
You know, and this is one of the reasons, you know, we mentioned a few minutes ago, agorism. You know, one of the tenets of it, and this is the reason I cannot get fully behind it, is agorism is a fully peaceful principle. There are times where violence is needed.
No, I don't
Yep.
deny that. And that's
I
what's going to end up happening.
No way. I'm
I'm
against violence altogether.
Altogether.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So Halston. Okay, Halston.
Another
Yeah,
thing
write
on
this address down. You can just come in and steal.
He
ours.
has no guns. He's pro gun control. So okay.
That's
all
right. Pro gun control.
Another point on this is I think that, and we haven't brought it up, even though the name of the show is Nullify Everything. I think there's an argument to be made here that that 10th Amendment state level nullification of federal crap comes into play here too.
Yeah, but
You
states
know?
are so scared to pull that. I don't know
Yeah.
why. They're just like, oh, well,
Highway funding, that's why.
Yeah,
What?
exactly.
Well, yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's
Highway
highway
funding.
funding.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. And now the what's it called, Homeland Security Slush Fund is another one that they
Yeah.
Gotta go.
Yes.
Because honestly, I've driven that stretch between Huntsville and Birmingham, that Coleman area. I've seen what the highways and the interstates look like. I don't know what they're doing with that money. They're just taking. I really don't know. So
What the hell?
apparently Alabama's not
been
getting
there
it.
since 1987.
Oh, God, it's horrible.
What the hell's Huntsville doing with it?
Oh, I don't know. Shit.
Oh, Werner von Braun already got his plan done up there, so now they're kind of at a loss. They can't improve on that.
Never-ending road construction that never works.
Yeah, shovel-ready jobs. That's an Obama project.
Oh,
I don't
shame.
like to, I don't like to
They
go
got
around
all
blaming
back
Obama,
in.
but that was one of those things where all of a sudden all the roads needed to be repaved overnight.
Yep.
Dear God.
What else we got, guys? We got 3 minutes till the top of the hour.
Man, we got all kinds of stuff. And Jeff
Wait,
Sessions, if you're listening, send nudes, bud. I want to see what that dick looks like.
Send nudes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay,
I can
more
just
than
imagine-
another note from last week. Another note from last week.
I can try to make this happen. I can so try to make this happen.
Make it happen, man.
No,
I want to see it.
no.
I want to see it, man. I want to see it.
No.
Hashtag naked sessions.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Whit, what do you have?
Another note from last week. Y'all were talking about Christendom and how it's hard to pitch libertarianism to Christians and what is the demographic for that. Well, I have the answer. Firstly, you target the radical insurgent Christians, and I'm not talking about the snake handlers.
Oh,
The
the constitutional party.
best. No. This is better than that. The newest, bestest group in all of Christendom, the one that's not dying, the one that's actually growing, is a group of people called Hebrew Roots and Messianic Christendom.
Oh, yes.
Oh, Jews for Jesus.
The Jews for Jesus is one particular subset of that whole thing.
I knew something today.
I've seen
okay.
some of those.
They are like I said, they're the only group of Christians where they're actually gaining membership as opposed to shrinking. They have we're an outsider mindset. Okay. And here is the kicker. They hold the Old Testament up at high levels, and one of the best things about that is that you can hit them with Samuel 8, which is where they beg for a king, the Israelis beg for a king, and God's constantly denying them. that no, the judges are good enough. All you need is some wise men to ride around and handle what disputes y'all have. Y'all don't want a friggin' government. So the default setting under anytime you could drag a messianic into this discussion, you show them Samuel 8, and God's default setting is friendly anarchy, and so that's what God likes according to the book. If you really want to get down to the roots of it, okay. Yeah. So
there's a T-shirt somewhere there.
Coupled with that target audience, and again, like I said, they're growing huge, big numbers.
And they tend to be more of, or at least the ones I've seen, and because there's quite a few of them on YouTube, oddly enough. Mm-hmm. And the ones I've seen and listened to and watched the videos, they tend to be more individualistic, less trusting of the government, more off-grid types, that are more likely to, you do your thing, I'll do mine, never the twain shall meet.
Right. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a neo-Amish. Like, I'm all for, if anybody wants to check out. Do what you want to do as long as you do it on your land, and don't come attack me with it.
Wow, we have dropped like so many viewers. I'm sitting here watching this, and we have it's like everybody's like, I am out. Fuck these guys, gone. It went from like between 7 and 9 people down to 2, and one. Oh, and there goes Halston. So I think we still have just.
I'm done with this shit.
Is that Steve?
Steve's hanging the tight, man.
For dear life.
Yeah. Yeah, you start talking about Messianic Jew Christians, and they're fucking hitting the hay.
Well, it's usually,
that's why
10 o'clock we're starting to wrap up, so.
Yeah, and it looks like Rachel just popped in. Oh, I'm sorry, Christine's still here. I'm sorry. I don't know why her icon didn't show up. Okay.
Oh, hi, Christine. Hi, Rachel. And this week we couldn't really find a dick of the week, so we're taking the week off on that.
Yeah. Because Jeff Sessions.
It would have been a limp dick.
Yeah, I mean Jeff Sessions was brought up, and I mean that's got to fall under the Donald Trump rule. We really can't.
That's too low hanging fruit.
Oh my God, it'd be like
that's too easy.
Cheap.
Oh.
Cheap.
Yeah, I got nothing. I mean, nobody stood out in my mind.
If they don't truly deserve it, we're not going to give the award.
Right.
And I know some people will say, well, what about a couple of weeks ago? No, Anson fucking deserved the award.
Oh, yeah, that's no doubt. No doubt. So, Wanda, he deserved it.
God, fucking Wanda could be dick of the week.
Shit, yeah.
She's working on it.
Cunt of the month. Cunt of the month.
Yeah.
Fucking, I hope Wanda watches this.
Whatever.
Awesome.
So,
Halston, if you tag her, because I know you guys are friends on Facebook, if you could tag her.
Yeah, I'll tag her. Snail trail. Taco meat smelling snail trail. Hit it with my meat ring.
And for anyone who's not friends on my Facebook page, you're missing a few inside jokes as far as things have gone on in my household.
Mm-hmm.
Gross.
Yeah. But for real though, Jeff, if you're out there, man,
girls are
send me pictures. I gotta see that little gray shrivelly thing. He's probably packing some fucking heat, guys.
Probably like hanging down to his knees, even though it's his
fucking root.
Speaking of household,
looks like a troll doll.
As far as the girls, you probably already thought about this. Have them read Freedom and do a report on it.
Yep. No, that's the next book on their list. Actually, as a matter of fact, the Adam Kokesh book. I'm making my kids read it. You should make your kids read it.
We have.
I've got 40 copies of them on my dining room table. 40 copies of this book. So if somebody wants one, send us a message. More than happy to hook you up.
And as always, we can be reached at admin at Uncivil Liberty. We can be reached at Horace at Uncivil Liberty. Halston at Uncivil Liberty. Have we got WIT set up yet?
No, I'm getting there. I'm sorry. I have been swamped. I will make it a priority. I will make it a priority.
That's what only you can do, so.
I know. That's on my end. I got this.
You can message us on Facebook itself. Any of our profiles, you can go and message us.
Mm-hmm.
Questions at Uncivil Liberty. Please, for the love of whatever, send us questions.
Nobody has questions. Nobody has questions.
Oh, Laura.
I mean,
Laura
I guess
asked,
we're just gonna have to make. I think
Laura's
we're
got
gonna
a
have to take.
question. Who the hell is
Oh.
Wanda?
Oh, who the hell is Wanda? Go hang out in Anson Knowles' group. You'll find her attached somewhere to his scrotum.
Actually, no. Go to our page. Look where we posted the Anson Knowles.
Yeah, the Anson Knowles
Dick of the Week.
Mm-hmm.
Look in the comments. You'll find her.
Oh my God,
Classic meltdown.
we could not buy advertising that got that type of response. Holy shit, that thing was amazing.
So, yeah, that's just, that's where you go to find her.
Yeah, that or suckling on Anson's undercarriage.
Yeah. So,
Wally fucks Roy Moore for mine.
Mm-hmm. All right,
Oh,
so
now that's an image.
Enough brain plates.
Horace is gonna have fucking nightmares. You're welcome.
Oh.
Again, hey, everybody out there is watching. We talked about the jury nullification thing. We're actually going to become more involved in jury nullification as far as the overall message. That's one thing that we did decide this past weekend. Yes, this is a worthwhile organization to be a part of. I would love to have just a boatload of people in Alabama and the surrounding areas to reach out. It's fija.org. They're on Facebook. Reach out and say, hey, look, I want to be a contact too. They have trainings. They'll show you what to do. We can all coordinate together if need be. But don't think that you're just one person. You can't actually make an impact, because you can. You can.
And
that's how grassroots works.
You can freeze.
Your
Am I out?
connection is broken.
Yeah.
You
All we got was, and that's how grass works.
That's and that's how grass works. Jury nullification grows the grass. That's how it's done. God damn, I gotta get some better. All right, so that's how grassroots movements work.
Yeah.
One person spreading the message and getting other people on board. So that's what we're doing here. So please reach out to FIJA if you want to be more involved in the jury nullification aspect, or send us a message and I'll do an introduction with you and the executive director.
Yeah. That's who we've been actually communicating with, right?
I've been. Yep. Executive
is
director.
Is that state or national?
That's national. There's only one employee.
Okay.
And this organization honestly brings in $50,000 a year. And and part of that has.
That's a minuscule number for the amount of influence they have.
God, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, that's it. For the size of the organization,
really.
the reach and effect they have is insane. If the LP could do even a tenth of that, we would have elected politicians all over the place.
Yeah, that right there is a whole axle of next week when we get to talking about the party.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that little dynamic there is whoa.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Whoa. Like Joey from Blossoms. Does anybody remember Blossom? I just named myself.
Vaguely.
Oh God.
I've slept since then, and
Whoa.
I'll be the first to admit, when I was younger, I probably smoked way too much pot.
No.
Okay, and just so
memory ain't what it used to.
And just so Connie knows, because Connie asked a question in our Facebook thing.
Yes.
I am the real Luke.
Yes.
I am the real Luke. The other guy with the bigger beard is the real Horace.
Yes. The old hippie is Horace.
The old hippie. That's right. All right. Again, check out our website. We're gonna try to start putting more content on there. If you're involved on our page, you'll see the content posted. If you're involved in any of the groups that we like to troll, they'll be posted in there as well. Am I missing anything else?
Follow us on Twitter.
Oh, Twitter. We tweet
at uncivil_show.
If you are liberty minded.
That's the best we had, guys. I'm sorry.
We had like no options on
After listening to this on the podcast, you can't see my face there, but that was a face of apology. I'm terribly sorry.
If you are liberty minded and you want to write stuff, please let us know.
Oh,
by God.
We'll take submissions happily.
Oh yeah. I mean, if you want to contribute, we'll take that as well. All right.
That's definitely we'll take submissions. So, but do understand, we will. It has to be principal positions.
Yeah.
You know,
We
and some Nels
reserve the
bullshit
right
we
to not
don't
publish.
take.
Or reverse cowgirl.
You know,
Yes.
that's that'll
Yes.
take. So
Every day.
Every day.
But you
Even
know,
from
yeah,
Manson.
we will definitely take submissions, folks. You know, we are not too proud to take those.
Okay. Wait, now it sounds like we're begging, so we're actually gonna take a step back. We're gonna end this show before we become even more desperate.
Please, submissions. Please, the submissions. All the submissions,
Support
please
us.
give them to.
Anything else, guys? Anything else? We'll close this thing out.
I think that's it.
What a loosey-goosey fucking show.
Oh my God.
Fuck standardization.
Thank you. Fuck formatting, right?
Fuck formatting. Fuck Jeff Sessions. And his big old dick.
apologize
Fuck
for that.
Roy Moore. That's
Fuck
your
Roy
supposed to be your
Moore.
tagline. And when are we getting the Fuck Roy Moore t-shirts? The hashtag Fuck Roy Moore t-shirts.
Yeah, I'm working on that. All right. We're calling it a night. Everyone who's watching, thanks for wasting an hour and 10 minutes of your time. You could have been doing other things, like jerking it. But you decided to spend it with us, and we thank you for it.
Thank you.
And everyone have a good night, and we'll see you next week.
Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.